Guys, right now we are in the middle of what they call probably one of the most hated rallies in the market. And when I say one of the most hated rallies in the market, this is what the current markets look like. And in fact, when I look at the S&P 500, that's the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is now at all-time highs, right? We're in the middle of a war. The oil prices are 30% higher than when the war started. We have inflation, which is moving up. And what you're seeing is a typical, what we call a Trump recovery, which is this V-shaped recovery. And this combination of like the V-shaped recovery coupled by, the Trump sprinkle that it's got all over it is making this one of the most hated rallies. Now, one of the things that I know about hated rallies is that when you have a most hated rally, these rallies tend to last longer than anyone expects them to last. And right now we're in one of these rallies, and you can see that the last time that we had one of these hated rallies it was a V-shaped recovery rally, was around tariffs, and that's this V-shaped recovery over here, and you can kind of see what happened after that. So I want to talk a little bit today about the most hated rally. The most hated rally is happening on the S&P 500. It's also happening on Bitcoin. Right now we have a rally in Bitcoin. The bears are basically in disbelief that this rally is going on for so long. The altcoin holders are also hating this rally. And the reason why the altcoin holders are hating this rally is because the rally isn't moving to the altcoins. And so we've got to talk about it, because when you have a hated rally could go much higher and much longer than anyone can expect it. And that's really what I want to speak to you about today, because I think that that's what's going to happen here. So when I get my viewers up on the screen, we can then get the show on the road. Oh, wakey, rise and shine. Another green day in the bubbles. As I was saying, a hated rally. Everybody hates this rally. We'll talk about why everybody hates this rally. I think people just cannot believe, they are in absolute disbelief that you're getting a rally. The war is not even over. The oil prices haven't even reverted, and the S&P is now at all-time highs. And it's not only the S&P that's at all-time highs, right? It's the Japanese Nikkei, also at all-time highs. The Kospi, back nearly at all-time highs. Now, if you look at the Kospi, by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Kospi is the Korean stock exchange, the Korean stock market. Look at this return from the 1st of January 2026. So that's let's go directly to the 1st of January 2026. Which is there. It was at 4,202. That stock market, the Korean stock market, is up 50% since January. Now, I was looking to buy this, but I couldn't find the right entry point. And so we're in a position now where the markets are rallying. The majority of people are left sidelined. And that, for me, is one of the most dangerous rallies that you can actually get. And the thing about this rally is that this rally is so unprecedented. And when I say so unprecedented, it is unprecedented, and it's unprecedented under normal presidencies, but under Trump, Trump has this unique gift of creating these V-shaped recoveries. You can see what he did it here when it came to the tariffs. Everybody thought it was the end of the world, and then we had that V-shaped recovery, and it basically melted the faces of all the haters. It happened over here as well on the 16th of July 2024. We had another one of those dips and a V-shaped recovery. Trump is renowned for these V-shaped recoveries, and he's putting one of these in here now. If this rally repeats what happened in the previous rallies, then every time it goes higher. And if that happens, we basically break out of this channel, which is, by the way, Hendrik's thesis. Hendrik's thesis is that we actually do break up out of this channel, and that the S&P goes a lot higher right now. And that's pretty much the base case. So if you look at the actual stats, you can see that in the last 10 days have been unlike any other 10-day period in the market since 1950. First, the S&P is up nearly 10% in 10 days, which is the 99.7th percentile of all returns ever. That's the first thing. Since 1950, there have been 20 cases where the stock market has risen this much in 10 days. The general conclusion is that it's bullish momentum thrusts. Okay, so what he means here is that what Randy reiterates, he says the S&P 500 is up over nearly 10% in 10 days. Historically, this level of strength marked the bottom, not the top, with one exception, which was the actual .com crash. So we are in the midst of a very, very, very violent and very, very hated rally. There's a lot of money that is left sidelined at the moment. And the thing with money that's left sidelined in a stock market rally is that the stock market generally squeezes the people that are sitting on the sidelines. And and that rally it has actually spread, or is actually spreading into Bitcoin. This 𝗬𝗏 basically says the following. He says, the V-shaped recovery is now burned into the psyche of investors, at least for the remainder of Trump's presidency. Even a genuine, undeniable catastrophe won't get sold off. Nuclear war, just waiting in the fallout to rip back to all-time highs. And I liked one of the comments that I actually saw here, because I think the comment was very good. He says here, my great-grandfather always told me, that you have to buy the nuclear war dip. And there's a good reason for it. Because if it happens, you're going to get destroyed. If nuclear actually happens, then you're probably going to get destroyed in nuclear. But if not, then the markets are eventually going to recover. So you pretty much have nothing to lose and you have everything to gain. And I think that there's a good point here in this tweet to say that Trump is so obsessed with making sure that in his presidency markets actually run, that he will do anything to make sure markets run. That's exactly what's going on now. So you cannot discount Trump, and you cannot discount the V-shaped recovery. Guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you've been here for a while, we're just about to start talking about Bitcoin, because actually we are a crypto channel, believe it or not. What I need to do is to smash the like button. I see there's only 94 likes with 700 people in the chat. That's a bad thing. I want you to tell me in the chat, Hardest, maybe we can run a poll here. When was the last time that you opened your MetaMask wallet? I want to know in the chat when the last time was in your MetaMask wallet that you opened your MetaMask wallet. And the other thing that I want you to tell me in the chat is, do you follow me on Instagram? Let me know in the chat here if you follow me on Instagram. If not, I think there's a link to my Instagram here. I am starting to spread a lot more alpha and a lot more live stuff on Instagram if you want. You won't believe what I'm drinking. I'm drinking hot chocolate. It's made with protein milk, high protein milk. Trying to increase my protein intake in the day. Very good, very good hot chocolate with protein milk. Nah, bro. Someone says nah, bro. Nah, bro, what? Nah, bro to hot chocolate. Nah, bro to following me on Instagram. If you don't want to follow me on Instagram, follow me on Pornhub. You gotta give people options. You gotta give people options these days. My account on Pornhub is actually, I'm not allowed to say that. YouTube will ban my account. All right, let's go back to the most hated rally of all time. And I think the most hated rally is basically spreading into Bitcoin at the moment. And I want to show you why I think the most hated rally is spreading into Bitcoin at the moment, but why we're not out of danger yet, why we are rallying, and why this rally is so hated. The first thing is that you have all the 4-year cyclists and the naysayers who are basically saying, look, the 4-year cycle isn't complete yet. You can say whatever you want. The 4-year cycle isn't complete. The 4-year cycle completes in October, and up until October, we need to be basically going down, right? Someone says I follow around on Instagram. People were following me on Instagram when I was talking about my Whoop and how this Whoop is actually a random number generator. It tells you got 100% sleep. Bro, I didn't get 100% sleep. I can tell you for sure. I mean, I woke up in the night, I went for a walk, I went to eat something. It still tells me I got 100% thing. So yesterday, I'm going to show you this. We'll go back to Bitcoin in a second. So yesterday, what did I do? I was like, you know what? I'm so over this bloody Whoop thing. So what did I do? I went and I put my Whoop on the table next to my bed. Okay. So I finally gave up last night. I finally took off my Whoop, put it on the table next to my bed. And this morning I woke up, tells me I had 100% sleep performance. Wasn't even on my wrist. Okay, it's a random number generator. Let me know if you got a Whoop and what your Whoop does. Okay. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram. All right, let's go into it. So the 4-year cyclists hate this rally, and the reason why they hate this rally is because, according to them, this rally has to reject, and we have to get another leg down, because as a 4-year cyclist, you're basically saying, look, the 4-year cycle, the bear market ends in October, and that's where we're going to be turning around. So they hate the cycle. They go into CNBC, they're talking about Bitcoin going under $50,000. This is, the post from 2 months ago. Analyst warns Bitcoin could plunge to $50,000. Even 𝗓𝗏. So you got James Wynn. I mean, I think the guy's lost all credibility now. He's saying, look, we're going to 48,000. And hey, he may be right. And I'll show you how he may be right. But for right now, these guys hate the rally. 𝗓𝗏. So big respect to 𝗓𝗏. I think he missed this pump. And I think he's in the camp that this is a bear market rally, right? By the way, if you don't follow 𝗓𝗏, he does like a 10-minute update. Put a link to 𝗓𝗏's channel in the description, because he does a very good 10-minute update every day. He's very, very, very good. And he's called this market perfectly. He says this is a bear market rally. Ben Cowan says the same thing. He says, Bitcoin will remain in a bear market despite short-term counter rallies. The hardest part of the midterm year is just not believing every single rally. So he's kind of saying, look, don't believe every single rally. And this might be a bear market rally. We'll talk about it. But the reality is that while all these naysayers are talking about that, here's the facts. 2 months ago, Bitcoin was at 60,000 people writing obituaries. there was the Quantum FUD, which is, by the way, still alive. And since then, Morgan Stanley launched an ETF. Goldman filed for Bitcoin income ETF. Schwab opened Bitcoin spot trading wallets. $412 million flowed into ETFs yesterday. And the next Fed chair disclosed that he owns DeFi, Solana, and Lightning Networks in his startup. Now, there's a lot of hype here because the Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, did disclose that he owns crypto, but it's less than 5% of his portfolio, number one. And number two, he doesn't hold it directly. He holds it in funds and a whole lot of other stuff. Right now, though, Bitcoin is above $74,000, as you can see. They are making a lot of progress when it comes to the quantum risk, right? The quantum risk is still going to be there. And they're making a lot of technological progress as to how to mitigate the technological problem around the quantum risk. The problem with solving the technological problem is it doesn't solve the real problem, right? The real problem is that when you solve the quantum problem, you will get people to either migrate their coins to a new quantum resistant Bitcoin chain, or that you'll give people a new way to transfer coins through quantum resistant wallets. The problem that you're not addressing is, what about Satoshi's coins? And when I talk about Satoshi's coins, I talk about the coins that are lost, where the keys are lost, where people don't have access to the keys anymore, etc., etc. And inevitably, with all the solutions that I've seen for quantum, those coins eventually hit the market again, which means that you got an extra 5 or 6 or 7% of the supply coming back onto the market. And none of the technologists are solving the technology problem, but no one is accounting for the economic problem. And the economic problem is that all of a sudden you've got a lot more coins to worry about. But the good thing is that now quantum has become top of mind. Everybody's talking about quantum. The developers are finally trying to fix quantum. And I think that quantum is quite a long way away. Although there's this guy called Joshua Lim, who's a very, 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 very smart guy. He's a co-head of markets at 𝗏𝗏𝗏 𝗏𝗏𝗏. This was retweeted by Chamat. And in this tweet, he talks about how people are already starting to hedge the quantum risk through puts and through options and stuff like that, right? So he says the first thing to note is that long-dated put skew on Bitcoin is near multi-year highs, meaning it's relatively more expensive to buy puts than calls. The last time this was elevated was around the 3 arrows FTX in 2022, which means that people are really starting to hedge themselves in quantum risk. Now, let me tell you what the good and the bad thing is here. The bad is that as they are hedging, they are selling puts, and as they or buying puts, and as they're buying puts, that keeps pressure on the market. It gets the market to go down. The thing is that if the trade unwinds, if they find a solution for quantum and everybody buys into the solution of quantum, then the reversal of that becomes so much more aggressive because people have to unwind effectively their short position. Because net, when you think about a put is a synthetic short position. That's what it is. You're basically taking an option to go short, which someone else has basically taken the other side of that option, right? So if they do find a resolve for quantum, which is basically what I think is going to happen, then the position unwinds very, very much. Someone says, is this recorded? So Rogue Trader, this is not recorded. This is live. Not recorded, live. Hot chocolate with protein milk, really good. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 got so many wrecked recently. I didn't watch that. I didn't watch that. Someone says biggest bull run here ever is here. Biggest bull run ever. I mean, it is at 74, and it is a hated rally. You know who else hates this rally? I'll tell you who else hates this rally. The altcoin holders hate this rally. You know why the altcoin holders hate this rally? The reason is because if you look at the BTC Solana chart, the BTC Solana chart is at the lowest point it has been in the cycle. And we'll use Solana as a proxy for altcoins at the moment. And so the holders of altcoins don't really like this rally. You can see it in the Bitcoin dominance. We had a little bit of a spike in Bitcoin dominance, but Bitcoin dominance just chopping over here, meaning that this price move isn't spreading to the altcoins. If it was spreading to the altcoins, you'd see the dominance chart actually start falling. You can also go to Banter bubbles, and then you can go to settings over here, and then you can go to currency, and you can compare everything to Bitcoin. And when you compare everything to Bitcoin, and you go onto the 1 month, you see, you kind of see that even though Bitcoin has moved, very few other tokens have actually moved. Am I actually looking at it relative to Bitcoin? I am. You see, very few of the other tokens actually moved. I'm reminding you now, if you do use Banter bubbles and you want to trade, you can actually trade directly via the interface. So you just click here, you connect your exchanges. Once you connect your exchange, you can actually trade directly from the bubbles. It goes through your exchange. You don't have to set up a new exchange account. It just means that if you're like at a restaurant or whatever and you like look at the prices and you go, oh, hold on a second, let me just check what's moving up, what's moving down. And then you see that like Aptos is moving up and you want to trade it, just go here and press, it'll say trade now. Once you start, it'll say trade now. And then you can actually trade directly from the bubbles using your exchange, which I think is a very cool feature. Okay, cool. So a lot of people hate the rally. Altcoin holders hate the rally. The 4-year cyclists hate the rally. And I think, look, there is the probability, and to be honest, this is the base case. The base case right now is that we break down, and if we break down, we go to this 46,500. We'll go back to the chart. We'll look at the chart over here. And I think it's pretty obvious here, right? You've got this bear flag formation, which you go down, you consolidate up, you basically run out of air near the top, and then eventually you break down again. And to be honest, I agree with Chris. I agree with 𝗵𝗏, where he says, look, it's on until resistance breaks, and then it's invalidated. So if you want to get through this, then break the resistance. Like just break the resistance. In order to break the resistance, as I said a few days ago, have to get through 78,000 and close through 78,000. If we do that, then it's all hot air till 96,000. See, it's all hot air till 96,000. Nothing else happens till about 95, 96,000 or 90,000. So what do we want? We want this momentum. And when I say momentum, I basically mean Michael Saylor. That's what I basically mean. When I say momentum, I say what we want is we want Saylor to take us above the 96,000. So let's talk about it. So we want this to be invalidated. You want it to be invalidated, and it could be invalidated. The 4-year cyclist will tell you, look, no ways. We're going all the way down to this level at October 2026. Tell you why I know that you need to trust the charts. And I know that everything else is just speculation or hopium, and the charts are basically telling the truth. So now we're in a very tricky place when it comes to charts, because we're very close to the top of the wedge here. We are super close to the top of the wedge here. You can see, right? So this is not, I wouldn't be getting into longs at this level. Got to be honest. Don't get into any longs at this level. Nothing. Not altcoins, not Bitcoin, not nothing. But where you can take longs is things that are opportunistic. So in other words, like one place where I think I made a bit of a mistake. I wasn't very focused. But if you look at Drift, Drift was hacked. And everyone wrote Drift off. But, then they went to Tether and they secured like $150 million to repay people. So these guys are like beasts, and they could actually bounce back. Now, I should have probably bought it at the bottom, because at that point there was not much to lose, and if they recovered, there was everything to gain. So one place that you can buy is opportunistic things. But otherwise, I wouldn't be touching anything until such time as Bitcoin actually breaks this wedge. Okay, when Bitcoin breaks this wedge over here, that may give a license to people. Hold on a second. We've actually broken this 4-year cycle thing. If we've broken the 4-year cycle thing, there are a lot of coins which are destroyed, like Solana destroyed, cannot get above $90, right? So if this wedge over here breaks, hopefully it breaks during the trading competition, because that trading competition, if I remember correctly, let me just quickly check. It's tomorrow, 20 hours. Guys, reminder. There is a trading competition. You can win $120,000. All you need to do is you just need to sign up to 𝗏𝗏𝗏, which is a non-KYC exchange. It's like super easy to sign up. Non-KYC exchange. You go here, you sign up, you use this link. Tell Johnny to be more like, sign up here first, blah, blah, blah. Join the link over here. And then you can join the team and you can actually trade with us. It's the last day today because, as you can see, the competition starts in 20 hours. So go and do it. Just put $200 in the account. Maybe you win $120,000 or you win your share of $120,000. All right. The reason why I think that this rally still has quite a way to go, and I think that there is a chance that we actually break through the wedge, is the following. Number one, the fear and greed has been suppressed for a very long period of time. And generally, when the fear and greed has been suppressed for a very long period of time, generally that is when the market turns. Like you can see here, like the fear and greed was suppressed for quite a long period of time. We did go a little bit down here with respect, and then we went back up. Here we went up. Here we went up again. Generally, when fear and greed has been suppressed for a very long time, and you can see that ever since 2017, when this fear and greed goes back, we haven't been at this level of suppression on the fear and greed. Just look at that. The fear and greed went down to 8, whereas in previous markets it went down to 11. But it's not only about fear and greed. It's about how long we stay down at fear and greed. So not only did we hit a very low fear and greed, but we actually stayed down there for a very, very long period of time, right? And that generally is not a period when markets actually top. So that is the first thing that I want to point your attention to. Next thing I want to point your attention to is the whales are buying and the long-term holders are buying. And you'll see that here twice. The long-term, you can see this chart over here, which is from CryptoQuant, and you can see the green. The green is what they call the big whale orders. And if you look at the concentration of big whale orders, you can see that the big whales are actually starting to accumulate. They've accumulated 270,000 Bitcoin in the past 30 days, the largest accumulation wave since 2013. Okay, that's massive. That is massive. Next thing is, if you look at the long-term holder net position, which is, so now the first thing is you got the whales, and the second thing you've got is the whales, and you got the long-term holders, which is two classes of similar but different buyers. One are people that hold for long, and one are people that have a lot of money. Here, what you can see is that both of the cohorts are actually accumulating at the moment, which is usually marks bottoms, right? The next reason why I think this rally could actually continue is because, as you can see, currently the funding rates are negative. Now, generally, when the funding rates are negative, generally, people are net short, and that can basically unwind, or that position can unwind. Although I will talk a little bit about why I think the funding rates have been negative since here. So this would be the 11th of April. We'll talk about that in a second. It has got to do with MicroStrategy. Also, as Swissblog says, he says the Bitcoin risk index just hit 0, which means that there's no more sellers. The sellers are basically gone. Like, the sellers are out of the market. So going back to it, what am I saying? I'm saying my base case is that we're going to get rejected at the 78,000 level. But there are counter arguments that say that we could break through the $78,000 level. If we do break through the $78,000 level, I think that's your license to go out there and you can basically buy the good quality alts, Solana, Hyperliquid, etc., etc. Also, if you look at this, I saw this, it says stablecoin supply ratio. Stablecoin supply is telling us that those waiting to buy Bitcoin in October, when the 4-year cycle basically ends, are going to be sidelined. 2026 looks nothing like 2022. Well, that was 2022, and you can see exactly what happened. Look at that. So that is something that you should keep an eye on. I mean, if you look at the total number of stablecoins on the increase again. So let's quickly just go to the final page here. Total stablecoin supply now 320 billion, which is the highest that it's ever been. And if you look at the Bitcoin versus VIX, bounced perfectly on the upward trend line, and again, that usually gives us a good rally. So right now we are positioned for a good rally. I'm not going to tell you that it's going to break the 78,000, but I'm going to tell you that we are positioned for a good rally. Someone says, bro, please drop the name of the site again, the Pornhub site or the Instagram site. Which site is he talking about? I don't know. All right, let's talk about who's driving this rally. And again, why it's a most hated rally. Did you guys watch this 𝗏𝗄𝗧 thing? 𝗏𝗄𝗧 basically also hates the rally, hates the fact that MicroStrategy is driving the rally. He has got a point. I mean, just listen to a little bit of it.
It's been compared to the iPhone. It's been compared to a Ponzi scheme. Either way, a lot of people are investing and talking about a new product. It's really a stock, specifically preferred stock, called Stretch, and it's sold by MicroStrategy. You may know them. They're the guys who have been buying up a lot of Bitcoin. You may know Michael Saylor. His company is currently raising billions of dollars by offering something called Stretch. The company uses the proceeds from those sales to then go buy more Bitcoin. There's always a question with all of this financial engineering. Anytime you see it, you always wonder, what is the catch? And I like to describe it like a perpetual motion machine.
Black Coffee also dunking on Stretch, which is MicroStrategy's preferred dividend stock. Now, for those of you who don't know how this works, basically, if you buy Stretch, you get 11%, 11.5%, and it's paid every single month. So it's not like you have to wait for the end of it. So right now, Michael Saylor is using that instrument to raise capital, and he's raised $6.3 billion on that, and that $6.3 billion is used to buy Bitcoin. Now, how he does it is a very simple thing. He goes to the market and he says, if you give me $100,000, I will give you 11% a year, and I will pay you this 11% a year every month, which is like crazy. How does he do it? Well, he does it by either selling Bitcoin or by using the money that you pay him to pay other people. So it's like, that's why the people name it as a Ponzi. The thing is, technically, it's not a Ponzi, and technically, people can't ask you to pay it back because it's a pref and it's not credit. And preferred shares don't have a redemption, right? So once you buy a preferred share, it never ever redeems. Okay, it's not credit. It never ever redeems. You cannot ask to get it back. So the big question is whether this is a scam or it's not a scam. I can tell you that the research that I've done says it's not a scam for sure. It's very transparent, and Saylor is telling the market exactly what it does, and the market is buying it, right? The only thing is that if Bitcoin doesn't keep going up at 11.5% in perpetuity, if it doesn't keep going up 11.5% every single year, eventually MicroStrategy has to eat into their stash to start paying their dividends. Okay, now, for the next 2 years, there's nothing to worry about because Michael Saylor's got enough money to pay the dividend for the next 2 years, right? Question is what happens after that? And I don't think we should need to worry about that now. We can kick that down the road, just like we kicked the quantum problem down the road. But that is what's actually driving this rally. Now, the dividend date was, I think, the 12th. Was it the 12th? Let's quickly ask ChatGPT. Hold on. Let's quickly just ask Chat. Hold on. Chat. Hold on. Actually, I've got my personal assistant. Her name's Donna. She calls me 𝗲𝗲. I call her Donna. It's true. I call her Donna. She calls it 𝗲𝗲. Donna, what was the ex-dividend date on STRC? I think it was the 12th of April. Let's have a look here. 15th. Okay, the 15th was the ex-dividend date. Yeah, and that actually came not from Donna, but it came from Andre, who's one of our researchers. But he's not AI. My AI is still trying to read my voice note, convert it to text. Yeah, anyway, AI. Bitcoin just fell below 74,000. Is that right? Oh man, are we back at 73,560? What happened, Hardest? What happened?
Wasn't me.
Wasn't you. Okay, well, Bitcoin just fell to 73,500. If anybody knows why Bitcoin fell, can you please alert us? Hold on, I'm all over my cables here. Researchers, Andre GPT. Andre the Romanian GPT. By the way, the AI hasn't even managed to translate my voice message yet. Can anyone tell me why Bitcoin just went to 73,500 in one candle? Andre GPT will tell us in 1 second. Yeah, Andre, we're listening. Iran's planned Hormuz toll will be paid via Iranian banks. Okay, but the planned Hormuz toll is not happening. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. You can't be jumping at things like that. All right, fam. A couple of things. Number one, remember, please, if you haven't yet signed up for the Blow Fund competition, today is the last day. There is a link below. You go to the link below, you sign up for the competition. The other thing I want to show you is, I don't know how many of you have messed around with your MetaMask lately. If you've got a MetaMask account, have you actually been to MetaMask? Have you actually downloaded the app? Have you actually done it? Have you actually gone to MetaMask? I haven't done it for a long time. And now I've started to mess around with the app. There is a lot that you can do on this app that I didn't know. Like, for one, you can trade stocks on the app over here. You can trade perps on the apps. You can do prediction market directly from your MetaMask wallet, right? So I kind of think that, yes, I know we all had MetaMask wallets. Yes, I know we've all been waiting for the airdrop. I don't know if the airdrop's going to happen because I heard that these guys are going to do an IPO. I heard MetaMask is going to do an IPO. But I can tell you it might be worth going to check out your MetaMask wallet because it's not that old, stale wallet that we used to see. It's like a whole ecosystem, borrowing, lending, stocks, perps, predictions. Just go and check. Just if you've got an old MetaMask wallet, just go and check it. Maybe you'll just find some dust in it, and that dust will be worth something. Anyway, family, I will see you guys again maybe tomorrow if something happens. Otherwise, I'll see you again on Monday. Until then, trade well, my friends.